Hello and welcome to the first Zen of 180 video how-to, and today we're going to be helping you answer the question, what LSAT score do I need based on my GPA, or otherwise how we're going to set LSAT goals for you based on your own tiered list of schools. And so you should start off at the blog, zen of180.blogspot.com, and you're going to go scroll down on the toolbar. You're going to look at Zen plus these equals harder soft factors. And so we're going to the top law schools forums, and so right-click on that and go to Open Link and New Tab, and you're going to get this screen, the toplawschools.com. This site has a lot of really good stuff, but today all we're going to be worried about are the school rankings. So click on that and scroll down, and you're going to get this nifty little Excel spreadsheet that shows you all of the top law schools, and they're going to be ranked by the U.S. News and World Rankings as of April 2009. And so it has, the top 10 as per usual. And what you should really do is you should click on those hyperlinks and read about those schools as you go through. But what's really neat about this Excel spreadsheet is it has the 25th and 75th percentiles of both the GPA and the LSATs. And so if you remember about the previous post we had, if your GPA falls within those ranges, then you know how to set your LSAT goals based on where you fall within the GPA median. And so, for instance, if you're at a 3.81 and you want to go to Yale, then you should probably be shooting for a 177 because you're on the low end of the GPA and you can go to the high end of the LSAT. And vice versa. If you have a high GPA, you can shoot for the low LSAT. But what happens if, as with the case of one of our students, you have a lower GPA than what is in the median? What falls within that column under the 25th to 75th percentile of the GPA? So we're going to be taking you through an example of one of our students for New York University. The student had a 3.48, so not too far below the 25th percentile, but that system will not work for what we have already shown you how to do. And so we're going to assume that this student needs to get higher than a 173 to have a pretty good chance of admission. But the higher LSAT may mitigate a lower GPA. And that's how this finely tuned tool we're going to show you is going to work. So go back to the blog and you're going to see the law school calculator under Zen plus these equals 99th percentile. And so right-click on that and open that in a new tab. And we're going to talk about how to use this new tool. So I actually already have some results up, but let's back up and I'll teach you how to do this. So again, this student had a 3.48 and they set a goal. He set a goal of 167 to score on the LSAT. That's what he would be going in if his score dropped from the practice as expected. So this is just a regular, normal, this is what I expect to get on the LSAT, a 167. So what pops up is all the information from the law school numbers site, which we'll talk about in a later post, and you have your lower bound, probable estimate, and an upper bound. We're most concerned with the probable estimate, this middle column, and so for instance, this student has a 0.6% chance of getting to Harvard, otherwise a very low percent. This list is organized based on least likelihood of getting in to most likelihood of getting in. So University of North Dakota, the student has a good chance of getting in with a 167 LSAT score and a 3.48 GPA. Now, New York University is what we're actually interested in. It's a 0.0408, or about a 4.1%. And so what we did is we had this student take the data from their own law school rankings. They put their schools into tiers based on factors that were important to them. And here's this student's list. They have Berkeley, NYU, Columbia, Harvard as their tier 1 schools. And we have them put in their chances of getting in this case, 4.1% chance of getting into NYU. Now, it's not really just like a crapshoot where you just roll the dice and see whether you get in or not. What that means is you need to have an application that is better than 96% of the people who have your exact same GPA and LSAT. And so your soft factors need to be better than basically everybody else's. And so that's why it's a really low chance of getting in. You'd have to be a really phenomenal candidate with good letters of recommendations, etc. Now, what we then did is have the 171, which is where the student is currently scoring on practice LSATs. And let's see what the chances of getting into NYU are when we go up to a 171. So we go back to law school calculator, press back, and instead of a 167, we enter in a 171. Again, we click submit, keep the GPA the same because that's not changing. Our goal is changing for the LSAT. Scroll down, NYU, and we have these three spreads. The closer the three numbers are, the lower the probable and the upper bound, the more accurate the reading is. That'll sometimes change based on whether it's a public or private university. So in this case, the NYU jumped all the way up to 34.6%. So a huge jump. By 4 points, the students' chances of getting admitted to NYU jumped by more than 30%. And so if you look, and the graph wasn't even on the chart before, and now all the way up to 36. Now, this 174 is the goal that we set for this student at Zen of 180. And so we set a 174, keeping the GPA the same. And look at the dramatic jump that happened at this one of the students' dream schools. 77.7%. All right, and so watch what happens. We've got 77.4%. Excuse me, 77.7%. Look at the jump all the way up to green, so pretty decent chances of getting in, the best in the Tier 1 schools. And then also what you should notice is what happened with the Tier 2 schools, the schools where the student would be happy going. A lot of these schools basically became safety schools where they have USC at almost guaranteed admission, UCLA at pretty good. All the student has to do is beat out 15% of people, and then they're good to go. Now, I uploaded this graph so you can see, and if you want the Excel spreadsheet, I'll probably upload that too, so you can just input your own Tier 1 and 2.